The December 18th Columbus City Council meeting will now come to order. In compliance with the Open Meeting Act, Nebraska Revised Statute 84-1407, a current copy of this act is posted in our meeting room. Madam Clerk, would you please call roll?
Mobley.
Here.
Barr.
Here.
Freshour. Here. Hemer.
Here.
Jablonski.
Here.
Lopez. Here. Roth.
Here.
Schilling.
Here.
Mayor Bulkley, the vote has been called. I can't talk tonight.
Mr. Council President.
Our Father, thank you for the opportunity to serve our fellow citizens. Please give us your wisdom and guidance to make proper decisions entrusted to this governmental body. May our conduct show respect, honor, and courtesy to each other, as well as to all our citizens. Amen.
Amen. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. I welcome everyone to tonight's council meeting. If at any time during our meeting this evening, anyone in our audience would like to address any item on our agenda, we'd invite you to please come forward to the podium. We'd ask that you keep your comments to 5 minutes or less, and we would remind you that we do have a light system that would time those 5 minutes. With that, we'll move forward to the consent agenda.
Item 4, consent agenda. The following items are considered to be routine by the City Council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a citizen or a member of the City Council so requests, in which event the item will be removed from consent status and considered in its normal sequence on the agenda. Item 4A, minutes of the December 4th, 2023 City Council meeting. Item 4B, minutes of the December 4th, 2023 Community Development Agency meeting. Item 4C, reappointment of Ron Schilling to the Northeast Nebraska Area Agency on Aging for a 3-year term. 4D, reappointment of Bruce W. Schmidt to the Board of Park Commissioners for a 3-year term. Item 4E, reappointment of Leela Shecker, Pam Peralt, and Tom Wunderlich to the Americans with Disabilities Compliance Committee for 3-year terms. Item 4F, resolution number R23-164, authorizing payment of various improvement projects. Item 4G, Finance Department reports, and item 4H, payroll and bills on file. Mr. Mayor and Council, is there anything you would like removed from consent status?
Mr. Mayor, I move that the items on the consent agenda be approved as presented.
Second. We have a motion and a second to approve. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes. Brings us up to public hearings.
Item 7A, public hearing, application of C. Ronald and Charlotte K. Lambert to rezone property located south of 51st Street and 38th Avenue from RR Rural Residential District to R1 Single Family Residential District and to amend the future land use map of the comprehensive plan. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
Is there anyone here this evening to speak against this public hearing? Anyone here to speak for this public hearing?
Good evening, Jason Melock, Behringer and Melock, office 3919 25th Street. Here on behalf of the applicants, Mr. and Mrs. Lambert. This is a rezoning of a recent final plat from RR to R1. It's recommended for approval, as you noted, from the Planning Commission. I'd be happy to try and answer any questions if you have any.
Any questions, council? All right, seeing none. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I'd entertain a motion.
Move the public hearing be closed.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to close the public hearing. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye, those opposed nay. Motion passes.
Item 7A1, ordinance number 23-21, approving the rezoning.
Mr. Mayor, move the rules be suspended and ordinance number 23-21 be read by number only.
We have a motion and a second to suspend the rules and read ordinance number 23-21 by number only. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye, those opposed nay. Motion passes.
Ordinance number 23-21.
Mr. Mayor, I move for the adoption of ordinance number 23-21.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt ordinance number 23-21. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye, those opposed nay. Motion passes.
Item 7B, public hearing, application of Meadow Ridge Properties LLC to rezone property located at 49th Avenue and 42nd Street, 43rd Street/43rd Street from RR Rural Residential District to R3 Multifamily Residential District, and to amend the future land use map of the comprehensive plan. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
Is there anyone here to speak against this public hearing? Anyone here to speak for this public hearing?
Once again, Jason Melock, Behringer and Melock, Law Office, 3919 25th Street. This is part of a plat that Mr. John Zwingman will address. That's also on the agenda tonight. But this would be rezoning that portion from RR to R3. Be happy to try and answer any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Melock this evening? All right, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, move the public hearing be closed.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to close the public hearing. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye, those opposed nay. Motion passes.
Item 7B1, ordinance number 23-22, approving the rezoning.
Mr. Mayor, move that the rules be suspended and ordinance number 23-22 be read by number only.
We have a motion and a second to suspend the rules and read ordinance number 23-22 by number only. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye, those opposed nay. Motion passes.
Ordinance number 23-22.
I move that ordinance number 23-22 be adopted.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt ordinance number 23-22. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye, those opposed nay. Motion passes. Brings us up, we have a motion and a second to approve the preliminary plat of Meadow Ridge Properties, 11th edition. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye, those opposed nay. Motion passes.
Item 13B, application of Ziegler Investment Properties LLC for preliminary plat of Cousins Corner, 4th edition, 8th Street north of 10th Avenue. This is continued from the November 20th, 2023 meeting. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
Mr. Mayor, move that the plat of Cousins Corner 4th edition be approved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the preliminary plat of Cousins Corner, 4th edition. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye, those opposed nay. Motion passes.
Item 13C, staffing of Charlie Lewis Fire Station at 4248 8th Street. Our Fire Chief Ryan Gray is going to present some information.
Good evening. All right. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council. I have a brief presentation here in regards to the staffing of Charlie Lewis Fire Station. I'll try to keep it 5 minutes or less.
We may allow you a little longer if you need it, but that's all
Thank you.
right.
Technically, the limit doesn't apply to presenters.
Excellent. So I want to start with the current staffing of the fire department. Currently, we have a fire chief and assistant chief. We work Monday through Friday 8 to 5 and rotate call days for after hours. We have 3 captains and 18 firefighters. All of these are assigned to fire headquarters, 1 captain and 6 firefighters per shift. We have 3 shifts, 24 hours on duty with 48 hours off duty. Each shift, like I said before, is 1 captain and 6 firefighters. We allow 1 person off per day, making our minimum staffing level 6. When we have 7 personnel on duty and after our newest employees finish their probationary period, our daily personnel deployment consists of a captain and 2 firefighters assigned to a suppression apparatus, a fire engine, and then 4 firefighters assigned to 2 ambulances. More often than not, we're operating with 6 people per day. Our deployment looks 1 captain and 3 firefighters assigned to a fire apparatus, and 2 assigned to 1 ambulance. And currently, as you're aware, only fire headquarters on Howard Boulevard is staffed 24/7, 365. Charlie Lewis, if we decide to staff Charlie Lewis, the required complement of personnel total would be 4. That would be 1 captain and 3 firefighters. Captain and a firefighter on a fire engine and 2 firefighters on an ambulance. The minimum staffing for Charlie Lewis would never fall below 4, as we would still only allow 1 person off per day, even with the added positions. If someone from that station were to take off, we would move somebody to fill that position for the day from headquarters. In order to staff Charlie Lewis at the aforementioned level, we would need to hire an additional 9 firefighters and promote 3 of our current firefighters to the position of captain to allow for a supervisor on each shift out of Charlie Lewis. This would take our overall staff that are assigned to operations to 6 captains and 24 firefighters. Our overall total for the department would be 32 when you add myself and the assistant chief. For comparability reasons, currently we're the Columbus from our comparable cities, Beatrice, Hastings, Norfolk, Fremont, North Platte. We're the lowest of personnel assigned to operations at 21 employees. You can see below it ranges from 24 to 39. The national average of career firefighters per 1,000 residents is 1.54 to 1.81 per the NFPA U.S. Fire Department profile in 2020. Currently, we're at 0.74 career firefighters per 1,000 residents. If we were to hire the additional 9 personnel, we would go to 1.24 firefighters per 1,000 residents. Some general considerations. The fire department can only house 12 people a day, 8 at headquarters and 4 at Charlie Lewis. Overlapping calls delay our immediate responses, sometimes significantly. From 2018 to 2022, the CFD has seen a 62.63% increase in overlapping calls, starting at 198 in 2018 to 322 this year, and we're on trend to pass that again. In the same time frame, we've seen a 14.58% increase in total responses, from 2,009 calls in 2018 to 2,300 in 2022. As of December 1st, CFD has had 300 overlapping calls and 2,036 total responses. Our primary units, this just goes over how often and for how long they are out of service. In 2022, our primary engine was out of service for 802 hours, or 33.43 days in a year, due to being assigned to other incidents. Our medic, our primary ambulance, was out of service for 696 hours, or 29 days, and it was out of service for approximately 6 months for repairs last year. So the secondary medic was out of service for 23.12 days and 554 hours throughout the year. Just some relevant standards. The National Fire Protection Agency, or NFPA 1710, is the organization and deployment of fire suppression operations, EMS and special operations in career fire departments, in which we would fall into that category, being a mostly career department. It's a consensus standard that's used across the nation to outline the minimum requirements for resource deployment while addressing firefighter occupational health and safety. It is not a law, but it is something to consider. In this standard, it categorizes structure fires into 3 hazard levels and outlines the minimum number of personnel to respond to each. Low hazard being single family, medium hazard being 3-story apartment buildings or strip malls, and high hazard being high rise and large commercial structures. Just in this instance, this is the deployment of what they recommend for personnel at a low hazard structure fire, so a single family residential structure fire. Being the total number of personnel required 17 if we're using an aerial device off of a ladder truck. Currently, we're sending 6 and a chief, and then we rely on from home responders to make up the rest. If we were to hire the additional personnel, it would have a significant impact in assisting us to get to that number. This is pretty small, and I apologize for that. It's just a projected timeline of, if this were approved, how quickly we could get personnel in the door and on the street. If we were to start this in the beginning of the year, the process, we're looking at a start date of approximately April 15th to hire them. EMT would be a minimum requirement to be hired, and preference would be given to those who are already firefighter 1. New employees would start with the CFD on or about April 15th, 2024, and participate in an accelerated orientation of approximately 3 weeks. Normally, when we hire an employee, we assign them to a shift, and they conduct their probationary tasks while they're assigned to that shift. So this would be a change in order to make this happen more quickly. During this time, we will work with new employees to ensure competency in basic fireground skills and EMS skills, and then also attempt to give them the opportunity to ride along with our on-duty staff to check off some skills and get some experience as well. So with that, we'll open it to Tara and then answer any questions.
Sure, I just want to, for everybody's information, go over the impact of what Ryan has laid out as a necessity for staffing financially for the city of Columbus. 9 new employees and 3 promotions in the first year of all of those being on staff is about $1.01 million. And as we all know, staffing is a perpetual cost, and it's never going to go down, and it's not going to go away unless positions are removed from the city's budgeted line for staffing. So with that being said, this is a decision that I want the council to consider very seriously. The city, in our current fiscal year, we have some surplus, meaning our budgeted general fund revenues are higher than our budgeted general fund expenses, but that is the goal, of course. We never want to be budgeting to be in the red. I previously sent some financials to the council illustrating that not this fiscal year, but in a future fiscal year, the city would more than use those excess revenues in our current general fund and have to dip into the city's general fund unrestricted reserves in order to fund these positions. But the silver lining to that is that the city has been fiscally responsible for many, many years. So we do have general fund unrestricted reserves, but it is not sustainable for the city to continue to use those funds for a long term. Obviously, they're not unlimited. So the city council must commit, if they decide to do this, to using all natural growth in our general fund revenues over the next one, potentially more fiscal years, to allocating those additional revenues to covering this additional perpetual expense, and also reimburse any reserves that are expended in order to fund these positions. If the city of Columbus does not follow through with that commitment with this decision, the city's general fund unrestricted reserves will be depleted, and it will negatively impact the city's financial position. For a short term, this is doable, but it is not doable long term. So if the decision is made to make this a priority now, it also needs to be a priority for some time to come until the general fund revenues grow naturally. Any questions for Ryan or I?
Let me start with one correction or just a kind of, when Ryan started, he talked about, if we would staff Charlie Lewis, and really this isn't a question of if. We will staff Charlie Lewis. This is a question of the timeline of being able to staff Charlie Lewis in what we consider a sound economic fashion. Not an if, but when. So
Thank you.
So I just wanted to state that. And then I would also reiterate what the mayor and the fire chief have said. And I shared this with the council. I believe they've done a great job of laying out the situation that's in front of us. I think it's extremely important and relevant that the public understand all the facts, and that we recognize that we have been addressing staffing issues. We have staffed this department on a percentage basis larger than any other department over the last couple of years. So it is something we have been doing, but it appears we are to the point where we feel we need to move forward quicker than what we had been doing. We are fortunate over all the years that we haven't had a catastrophe because of lack of staffing that involved human life and or compromised the safety of our firefighters. That's pretty evident. When you look at our staffing compared to our sister cities, we have been damn lucky. And I think we are to a point where we want that not to be the situation anymore. It's been quite evident, especially with the construction that we have had on 23rd Street, that servicing our community from our main fire station is not the best situation for our citizens. And I think that along with overlapping calls, which the fire chief laid out as a continuing problem that is only going to build, we feel that, I feel that this is a wise fiscal decision. I think with all this in mind, we should move forward now. I think we utilize our unrestricted reserve funds to do this process on a quick timeline as has been laid out. But in saying that, we have to be fiscally responsible over the next year to year and a half, or whatever that timeline is, to get ourselves back in comfort with our reserves. That is a very, you talk about income and revenues that we are going to receive, that is definitely a crapshoot. They come in 6 months, 9 months, 12 months. We have been very good at projecting conservatively, and I don't think that's going to stop in this situation. But I feel comfortable that it would not be an extremely long situation. That being said, I believe this is the right decision and something that the mayor supports extremely well. Any other comments, please?
I guess I'm assuming that we'll use the general fund sort of like a line of credit. We won't take that whole 1 million out tomorrow.
Correct.
We'll take it as we need it, so there's a possibility we won't need to get to that point. Just to clarify that, because that's a
Correct.
big number. I mean,
Correct.
you look at $1 million, so just to public understands that.
It's a growing expense, you know,
Right.
we hire, I
Well, the
believe,
possibility of hiring people.
well, that's it. Number one, we've got to have quality people to hire. And I know the chief's been looking at that and feels relatively comfortable. We can accomplish that. And I know the procedure has always been to hire groups of 3 to maintain the shift integrity. So that being said, that expense would be 3, and then a little bit later, 3 more, a little bit later, 3 more. So it would be a growing one, but not one that hits immediately, as you're mentioning, Councilman.
Chief, what about the reserves? Can you give us a little explanation of what's going to happen there?
Sure. We would not, even with the addition of these personnel, we would not be in a position to get rid of that program.
That's good.
Before this really became a hot topic of us discussing it, we were actually moving in the direction of a recruitment drive for our reserves. This process would delay that a little bit, but it is still our intent to make that drive and bring on more reserves. They do respond. We use them. They do a good job. The thing to consider with them, as well as our off-duty career staff, is they're not 100% available 100% of the time. And that's understandable. I don't expect that of them. So anything we get from them is in addition to this, you know, and there's still jobs for them to do. We're not looking to change that program. We actually want more. It's just going to be a little delayed if we move forward with this process, because our focus would be on the hiring process and onboarding the new employees.
Very good, very good. Thank you.
Of the 9 people that you're talking about hiring, how many of them would come from the reserve ranks at this point? Do you have an estimate?
If I had to guess, I'd say there's probably 3 to 5 who are interested in going through the process. What that looks like at the end of the process, I couldn't tell you.
What's your current number of reserves?
We just hired 2 of them off the list, which took us down to 13.
13?
Yes.
Thank you.
Well, Chief, I want to thank you for all the work you've done and all the things you've put together. I certainly think it's time that we staff that station. It's been there too long as it sits empty. Tara's done a wonderful job with putting together how we're going to do this. I think it's time that we do it.
Any other questions or comments? Do you want a motion on something here?
Yes.
I would entertain a motion to follow through with the staffing procedure that has been laid out by Chief Gray and explained in further detail by our city administrator.
So moved.
Second?
We got everybody moving, but nobody seconding. We have a motion and a second
We'll let Janelle figure it out.
to move forward with the staffing proposal as laid out. All those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes. Thank you, Chief.
Item 13D, comments from the mayor and city council members. In compliance with the Open Meetings Act, no discussion may be held on this item.
Do we have any comments from council members this evening? I just had a long dissertation on this. I don't have a lot more to add.
Other than
than
Merry
that,
Christmas to all the constituents out there.
Absolutely. I'm sure the entire council wishes everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. All right. We will move on to resolutions.
Item 14A, resolution number R23-165, approving the leases to Hangar Aircraft with Brian Arney, David D. Andelt, C Aviation LLC, FlyX LLC, and Urban Cowboy Aviation LLC, GIC Incorporated, Ignite Aero LLC, Steve E. Larson, Bradford Kurt Muley, Dwayne Muley, James C. Murphy, and Susan E. Murphy, Nicor Incorporated, Donna M. Pearson, Platte Valley Air LLC, Calvin Preston, RTT Aviation LLC, and LD Bronson Incorporated, Sky Roamers LLC, Douglas J. and Randy L. Williams, and Yellow Airplane LLC. The Board of Airport Commissioners recommends approval.
Mr. Mayor, I move that resolution number R23-165 be adopted.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution R23-165, and it actually fulfilled Councilman Schilling's desire to read something really long this evening. Do we have any discussion on that? Yes, sir.
I'd just like to comment, it'd be nice in the future, whenever we have anything to do with a hangar or something out the airport, we have a map with it so we can decide, or, we have an idea of which one we're dealing with, because they all go by a number. We don't know what that number relates to, so.
This is most of them.
Well,
But
I
yes.
understand that, but it'd still be nice to know
Yes.
who
Yep.
has what and
Yeah.
where they're at.
Okay.
So, thank you.
Comment taken into consideration. All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes.
Item 14B, resolution number R23-166, approving the social media policy.
Mr. Mayor, I move resolution number R23-166 be adopted.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution R23-166. Do you want to just give a slight explanation?
Sure. The city of Columbus, over the past few years, we've really upped our sharing of information on social media and online, but we've never had a written policy about how all of that information is handled and feedback from the public is handled. So this just formalizes a policy. Matt Lindberg our communications manager, led the charge on researching and drafting this. Our city attorney worked with Matt on it, and I would ask for your approval.
All right, any comments or discussion? Seeing none, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes.
Item 14C, resolution number R23-167, approving the updated drug and alcohol testing policy for Columbus area transit.
Mr. Mayor, I motion resolution number R23-167 be adopted.
Second?
We have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution R23-167. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes.
Item 14D, resolution number R23-168, selecting the design build delivery system for the restroom and concession building at Centennial Park and designating city engineer Rick Bogus to serve as the performance criteria developer.
Mr. Mayor, I move resolution number R23-168 be adopted.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution number R23-168. Do we have any discussion?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
I believe that this restroom would be better served at Sunset Park. With the completion of the new field house, we need to do something at Sunset Park to make it more amenable to the field house. The last time I happened to drive by on the west side of the field house, I noticed a person walking across the street to utilize the temporary restroom on the west side of the field house. This is not a good thing to have happen. We need to get a restroom at Sunset Park as soon as we reasonably can, after, of course, getting some kind of a master plan at Sunset Park. I will be voting against this particular item. Thank you.
Do we have any other comments?
Every time I've gone by Sunset Park, the most cars I've ever seen there was 4. Have you gone down to Centennial Park when they're playing baseballs and they have 6 games a night? How many people are there?
I have. Well, it's been some time since I've been there. I've had 3 children involved
Very
in
good.
baseball at Centennial Park, and
You would say there's more people at Centennial Park than there is at Sunset.
it depends on the time of year. Obviously, during baseball season, there are a number of people at Centennial Park. I agree. However, we do have a restroom. We do have an existing concession stand at that location now that's been there for some time. I understand that it needs to be updated, but I think it could last another year.
I would only add that both the park board and the city council, we are really moving to more of a participatory sort of capital planning and prioritization process. And both this project and the Sunset Park restrooms were on that, and this one did rank higher with both of those bodies. That's why it's in the budget.
Very good, thank you.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes.
Item 14E, resolution number R23-169, selecting the design, build, delivery system for the Pro Shop renovations at Vanberg Golf Course and designating city engineer Rick Bogus to serve as the performance criteria developer.
Mr. Mayor, I move for the adoption of resolution number R23-169.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution R23-169. Do we have any discussion?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
How much are we talking about on this particular item? How much money are we talking about?
There's $55,000 in our CIP plan.
Excuse
And
me?
that there's $55,000 in our CIP plan, and the Golf Association actually received a grant from the Visitors Bureau for around $26,000, if my memory
Yep.
serves me
So the
correct.
total project we're talking about is an $80,000 project or a $60,000 project with them paying 20 and us paying 40?
Them playing 26, us playing 55.
So it's an $80,000
That's
project.
that's the money
Wow.
we have available.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, any other discussion? Seeing none, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes. Brings us up to that ultimate meeting adjourned, and with that, wishing all our citizens a very Merry Christmas and a happy, we'll see you in 2024. Meeting adjourned.